there, I wanted to make this 1500 mile review to highlight what I think is currently the highest value, best bang for your buck e-bike out in the rapidly evolving e-bike market. This WIldeWay FW11S electric bike is quite a surprising package when considering the flood of e-bike companies entering and producing electric bike models in today's market. I would consider the FW11S model e-bike to currently be one of the greatest bang for your buck cargo style fat tire electric bikes out today. To dive into what makes this bike so great, we'll look at what separates this beast of a bike from its competitors. An incredibly nice feature that this bike boasts is its foldability. This bike folds up to fit into any vehicle or small space. The battery can be taken out to drop the weight of the bike by 18 pounds as well. This feature lets the user be able to store the bike in the back of any vehicle, even a car. Not being able to tow a bike because you don't have a hitch carrier or room in the back of your vehicle would limit the potential use cases this bike has. It can be much more than an urban commuter. Alright, let's talk about the biggest feature that separates this bike from the rest of the bikes in the grouping: the battery. Immediately, this massive battery on this bike caught my eye. One of the most simple and straightforward ways to understand that this is the case is by looking at the size of it. When the vast majority of bikes are trying to hide batteries, tuck them away into the frames of the bikes, the WIldeWay takes a different approach. This company puts the largest sized battery on the bike, and they did not try to hide this honker at all. The bike boasts a hefty, class-leading 48 volt 32 amp hour Life PO4 battery. That's a lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry. This is equivalent to 1,536 watt hours of usable energy. As a comparison, most other competitors utilize batteries with just half the capacity of the WIldeWay FW11S. This bike comes with a standard 3 amp charger, but there is aftermarket support for a faster 5 amp charger when time is of the essence. Also, those that are interested in the battery, it is UL 2849 compliant. This is amazing considering that this is a very comprehensive certification, and it is considered the industry-wide safety standard. Now that we understand what a beast of a battery this bike has, let's move on to the motor, which is, in some ways, you could almost consider it to be undersized relative to how powerful the battery is, but that's not a bad thing whatsoever. That's only going to increase the total lifespan of the battery itself. So moving on to the motor. The motor is a 750 watt continuous motor, and it has up to a 1000 watt peak, which is really all the power you need for commuting purposes, even for getting up fairly steep hills. The most impactful feature about this motor is that it helps to preserve and extend the battery life by keeping the C rates down. The C rate is a measure of how quickly the battery charges or discharges relative to its total capacity. This is helpful to some extent in predicting the degradation of the battery over time. However, high C rates lend itself to a more harsh internal battery environment due to higher heat exchange. Other bike motors may be quicker off the starting line, but the beautiful thing about this motor is that it has plenty of power for regular use, even on hills. And it does not go over the speed threshold where other bike motors tend to become much less efficient as wind drag drastically increases with speed in the upper 20 mile per hour ranges. Bikes tend to become more wasteful of energy at higher speeds due to this drag. For an e-bike to reside in the Class 3 determination, it must have no larger than a 750 watt motor and reach speeds of no more than 28 miles per hour, which this bike fulfills perfectly. It would be silly to purchase a larger motor to have to register and insure this bike, or a similarly fractionally more powerful motor on competitor bikes. Keep in mind that some states require anything that goes over 20 miles per hour to be insured and registered as a motorcycle. Make sure that you are up to date with your local jurisdiction's laws and policies on the matter. Now, on to the next category, the hill climb test. The reported max slope that this bike can climb, according to their website, is the max climbing slope of 30 degrees. Now, I've never ran into a paved hill that was so steep that I couldn't make it up. There have been times where the bike will start to decrease in speed, maybe all the way down to 15 or 10 miles per hour, but with the help of pedaling, it really wouldn't be an issue. There have been several times where I've been off-roading on this bike and I've found dirt hills that are too steep, or I just can't get the traction to get up them. But regardless, you probably shouldn't be taking this bike on those hills that are too steep, as this isn't a off-roading bike in that sense. Now let's move on to the range. Considering the fantastic battery capacity and the economy-oriented motor this bike is equipped with, it has a range of 60 miles in pure electric mode, meaning no pedaling at all. With pedal assist on, this bike is claimed to be able to reach up to 90 miles, and I would believe it. Both of these claims are possible if riding on a completely flat, smooth, windless day. I have personally gone 37 miles on one singular charge, and I still had somewhere around 20% or 1 bar out of 5 battery bars left. I did not ride on smooth asphalt the full duration of the ride either. I rode almost 6 miles through unpaved desert terrain and several more miles on paved dirt trails. I ascended, I want to say 400 or 500 feet during the ride, but then I also descended that as well. That was my second ride of the day. I rode 15 miles to work and then charged up back to 100% with the fast 5 amp charger and rode the final 37 miles after work, which included traveling to dinner and then returning back home. I passed 3 different cities during my ride, and it was pretty incredible that an electric bike is able to do such a thing. I'd also like to add that I'm over 200 pounds. I would venture to say that this bike has much more range than your bum is willing to tolerate sitting on the seat. There are several neat features that this bike came equipped with that I did not expect to see whatsoever. The first feature that surprised me was that this bike has cruise control. That's awesome. In order to activate cruise control, all you have to do is long press the positive button on the LCD control situated on the handlebars. Now, after you've done that, an icon will appear, a cruise control icon on the LCD display on the screen, and after you press the throttle consistently or at a consistent pressure for 8 seconds, the cruise control will immediately engage, and the cruise control will promptly disengage with the slightest tap of either brake, which is nice. Another really interesting feature is that it has trip reset, which will allow you to reset your trip if desired to track trip mileage. You hold the positive and negative to reset the trip. Changing the pedal assist settings from 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 gives you a lot more room to adjust the power settings in the bike. I chose to set the first 1 to 7 pedal assist settings to be ranging from 10% all the way up to 40% of the total motor function. That way, this input of the pedal assist settings lets the user maintain torque with the equipped 7-speed Shimano gearing. I saved the last 3 settings of the pedal assist for 20 to 28 mile per hour speeds. That makes the provided gearing useless. The bike comes equipped with a Shimano 7-speed gearing system. I don't have much to say about this because I really only use the motor and battery function of the bike. I'm not extremely interested in pedaling. I have other bikes that I enjoy pedaling a little bit more. But let's not get sidetracked. The mounting rack on this bike is perfect to zip tie an oven rack down to, which I have, and then placed a food delivery insulated backpack to hold all my actual backpack items or any items that I would want to bring with me on a ride. It's really nice to be able to get extra weight off of my back and onto the bike for longer rides. This is something that a lot of the bikes don't have. which you need to be able to store your gear if you want to use the bike for daily commuting purposes. The menu is nice once you get a grasp of the user interface. You can cycle through the trip, mileage, max trip speed, average speed, and the amperage being utilized at the moment. As a side note on the amperage, if you can keep this bike under 10 amps during the trip, you could possibly go 75 miles or more, is my estimate. It would just take you all day. Now, compared to the competition, when compared to its USA counterparts, the WIldeWay is able to come in at a very reasonable price at just $799. I would consider this to be a steal of a deal. This company is based out of Guangzhou, China. Probably didn't say that right, but it has warehouses in California, USA, and Toronto, Canada. So shipping times are minimal. You don't have to wait for the slow boat from China because they've already done that process. Now, the brake options is something that I would place emphasis on. The brakes are a crucial safety feature of any bike, and this bike comes in at a hefty 73 pounds, which means it needs decent brakes. I would strongly recommend the hydraulic brakes over the cheaper, less powerful mechanical counterparts. The WIldeWay FW11S gives you two options when choosing brakes, mechanical or hydraulic. The mechanical brakes are cheaper, but easier to fix, while the hydraulic brakes are more expensive and utilize fluid, which helps to create a smoother lever action and more forceful braking experience. These mechanical brakes leave room for more braking power to be desired. That's for sure. This is a heavy bike. When accompanied by a rider that's over 200 pounds, you start gaining some speed, and especially on downhill slopes, good luck stopping on a dime. I've blown past several hairpin turns, which is a rather unusual thing for my riding style. The brakes are a necessity. You need to make sure you have good brakes. I would highly suggest not skimping on this component and buying the more expensive hydraulic brakes. In closing, this really is the perfect little street commuter bike. It has more range than you could desire, and it can even take you on terrain that it probably shouldn't be on. It is super fun, and it comes at a fantastic price. Get out and ride. Thank you very much for watching my review on the WIldeWay FW11S 3.0. I'd like to thank the anonymous donor for donating me a brand new street legal Saran Ultra Bead to the Peace Love War channel. Stay tuned for future videos. And as always, check the affiliate links below in the description for handlebar attachments that I have purchased and use on this bike and other bikes that I ride every day. Peace. I'm going to just walk to the cactus now. And zoom in on the trash can. It's right here. Okay. Recording?
I'm recording now.
Come on.
Always be recording.
So I just stopped and you stopped? When did you stop recording?
Right before you stopped.
Hey, we're not recording right now. Hopefully. Alright, it's not working, Kate. Delete. Is it good?